Welcome to Connect with County Leaders. Here's your host, Bryan Hill.
Hello and welcome to Connect with County Leaders. I'm Bryan Hill. On this edition of the podcast, I'm joined with Eric Spicer, General Registrar and Director of Elections with Fairfax County Office of Elections. Now, Eric has spent a lot of time in county government. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here because we have a very interesting time of the year. Election season is here and we have so much to cover, including registering to vote, early voting, mail-in voting, voting on election day, and as well as our favorite topic, election security.
Well, I don't want to get you started on sports, but this is our Super Bowl.
First off, early voting started at the Government Center and 2 additional county facilities on September 20th. The number of people who have voted on the first 2 days far exceed expectations and was significantly higher than the numbers from 2020. What do people need to know about early voting, and what are your expectations for the next several weeks of early voting?
Well, as you said, Mr. Hill, the numbers are outstanding. We had 1,200 voters the first day 4 years ago. This time we had 2,700 just at Government Center, over 4,500 at 3 locations. Thanks to you and the county, the Board of Supervisors, we got more resources, more staff, more election officers, and more space. So instead of just 1 location, we had 3 locations, which enabled us to deal with those almost 4 times as many voters much more effectively. 4 years ago, there was a 4 to 5 hour wait. Now it's only about 45 minutes at most. And what voters need to do is bring their ID. License is the most common form, but you can bring any kind of ID. You can bring a utility bill, or if you don't have ID, you can fill out a confirmation statement, ID confirmation.
Okay. So, Eric, when you say 4,500 versus 2,700, same amount of facilities we had last year, 2020 that were open, correct?
Well, we only had 1 location in 2020. Right. We had 3 locations this time, but the 2,700 at Government Center compares with just 1,200 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, obviously this is going to be an interesting couple months for us, or a month and a half for us. When you look at early voting and in your time as the General Registrar, how has it changed? I mean, what has happened to where people want to vote early now? Because there's some people on some sides saying we shouldn't be early voting, but yet they probably get more bounce, and people others saying, why are we early voting? So it's just trying to make an understanding of why we should be doing this and how can we help you continue to state that this is a good thing, because it does help us on November 5th.
Well, and you hit it spot on. I got in elections, believe it or not, more than a quarter century ago, back in 27 years ago. I know, it's showing. Yeah, right.
On both of us, man.
Well, me a little bit more. But right before, you probably remember the 2000 election. And so that was, we had no hanging chads here in Virginia. We still don't. But what's happened more recently in the past 4 years, you're right, it's exploded. The number of people, it used to be election day, that's when people voted. But now the convenience, people vote. We now have 16 satellite locations. 3 are open right now. We're going to open the other 13 on October 17th. And as I said, 4 years ago, there were really long lines. People waited, which was incredible. People want to vote. The voting is like it's never been before. You can vote by mail. You can vote in person. We were very concerned, how are we going to accommodate that? We got more space. We have twice as many check-ins right here at Government Center, more than twice as many voting booths. The voters, it's like the customer's always right, and I know that's your mantra, right? The voters are always right, and they want to vote in different ways.
So the process basically is, as you outlined earlier, make sure you have an ID.
Yes.
When you come in, and you're pretty well good, right?
Yes, and check your registration.
Okay.
That's very important.
Okay. Now, let's talk Election Day. Big crowds are still going to be expected, even though you're having big crowds now. November 5th, what can people expect, and what is the best way to ensure things go, as we say, smoothly? What we see behind the scenes, we're talking constantly, nothing goes smoothly on Election Day, but to the general public, with your leadership, it does look very smooth. But what can we do to help?
What you can do, and I came from the city of Alexandria. That's where I started a very long time ago. When I left there, they gave me a little map that showed Alexandria and then Fairfax County. We have 264 polling places. It's a lot. And what you've already done to help is We'll have 3,700 election officers for this election. So you've helped us with that. You've helped us with the early voting, which, as you say, we'll still have a lot of voters on election day, but not as many as we used to. But you help us with the security. You know, I know it sounds kind of corny, but it takes a village. It really does. We've got police. We've got emergency preparedness. We've got the sheriffs. We've got schools. Everybody you can think of. IT. Things are secure from the ballot security, the IT. We don't have any wireless functions. That would be convenient, but we don't do what's convenient. Everything's locked down. Everything's safe, secure. The ballots are secure. Very careful.
So when you say we have how many election officers?
3,700.
3,700 for 264 polling places.
And I know you're already crunching the numbers. That cost a bit, but yeah.
But it's what we do here in Fairfax County, and it's what we do for democracy. Yes. So we're good doing democracy.
Yes.
All right?
Good.
Now, this is going to be part two, right? There's a two-part question here, because I want to pivot a little bit about a very important topic, and I view it very important. You kind of glossed over it a little bit with election security. With the rise of early and mail-in voting, what steps have been taken to ensure these processes are both secure prior to Election Day, and then you can kick in on the security on Election Day?
Okay, good question, because with the large number of mail ballots and with the early voting, some people are concerned, is it secure? Is it safe? Can people vote twice? That's no. Yes, it is safe. Yes, it is secure, and people can never vote twice because we make sure that we only send ballots to registered voters, and we only get ballots back from the individual who requested it. We have two people check everything. It comes down to the staff, the election officers. They're trained very well. And it also comes down to the security of the ballots, the security of the voting system. At every step of the way, we take whatever time, as you say, whatever time it takes to make sure things are done right.
Well, you know, election integrity is the foundation of democracy, and you're doing an excellent job. We are in a place where we protect voter data and the accuracy of the voter rolls to prevent the fraud, and you guys have done an excellent job last election, because I remember you and I talking about a lot of stuff that was going on. We're not going to mention all of it.
Right.
Shouldn't mention any of it, actually.
Right.
But you caught a couple, which was great. What's the process this year? Same process? Have you enhanced the process?
You know what they say about elections? It's like making sausage. I don't know if you like sausage.
I love sausage.
Well, there you go.
What kind of sausage is it?
It's pork sausage.
Okay, we can do that.
So, and it's also our Super Bowl.
Okay.
So what we're doing every step of the way to improve the process, we put more staff, more election officers, we double check, we triple check. So we're doing our homework, and what the voter can do is do their homework.
Right.
Prepare. Read the ballot. It's a two-sided ballot, and on the back it's a bit wordy. It's got constitutional amendment. It's got two bond issues trying to get some money for transportation and for I think public safety.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. You have one or two referendums?
One.
One, okay.
Or no, two bond issues and one constitutional.
Okay, got it. So please, we're telling everybody, make sure you come in prepared to read the ballot, either at home, or you're going to take a little bit longer to read it here.
Yes.
So just be prepared.
We get what we call cicada voters. They come out every 4 years. I wish we had this many voters for the local elections, because what could be more important, right? You elect your board of supervisors. That's who determines your tax rate. That's who does so many fantastic things for this county. But we do get a lot of voters that come, and for the first thing on the ballot, which we have 7 individuals running for president of the United States.
7?
Yeah, I mean 6, I'm sorry, 6.
Really? We have 6, really?
Yes.
I thought we had 3 and 1 dropped out, but we have others. So
yes.
We'll have to talk about that offline.
Okay.
All right, because I didn't know that.
It's 6. Yes.
Okay, well, great.
And a write-in choice.
Well, I'm always a write-in choice.
There you go.
There you go. With hundreds of thousands of votes to count, plus absentee and provincial ballots, how does your team process and count the votes on election night? Because you know, before you answer this question, I have like a watch team. I have the managers of Arlington,
Right.
Loudoun County, Alexandria City, all on one call, as well as my team on another call with our chief PIO, Tony Castrilli, saying the numbers aren't coming out fast enough. And I'm like, well, that's a state issue, because I'm always going to say it's a state issue, not your issue.
Right.
So let's put that to rest. Whose issue is it?
It's a state issue, of course.
Yes.
Yes. And the reason it takes a little time is because how do we process? Very carefully.
That's right.
double check everything because we want it right is what's important, to get it right. And yeah, now I know where the pressure's coming from. Where are the numbers? Where are the numbers? We get them as quickly as we can, but we get them accurately. That's so important. And what happens, there's 264 polling places.
Right.
It comes down to the election officers representing both major political parties. They're running the numbers, they're tabulating everything. And what would be very quick, speed things up, if we just wirelessly, some jurisdictions do this in America, not here. They don't, nothing wireless. So they actually physically bring the results back here. 264 teams of 2. So we have 528 individuals, bring them to Government Center, a nice line of cars out in front of the building. We also get to mail ballots. They can be returned through the Friday after the election, but most of them are returned as long as they're postmarked Tuesday, 7 p.m. But we count most of what has come in on Tuesday, and then also the early votes.
So you basically outlined that we have people bringing them in personally as opposed to using electronics.
Exactly.
And that is a significant reason why we do not have a lot of voter fraud in at least Fairfax County, because we are manually doing this process as opposed to allowing it to go through the wires, correct?
Precisely, and it's not the way I did it 27 years ago. Back then, remember AOL, remember modems?
Yeah.
That's how we did it, that whirring sound. It was quick, but now we do it much better.
Okay. Well, how do you handle situations where voters need assistance, such as those with disabilities or language barriers?
We actually have language officers that are tested for not just we're legally required to have language assistance in Spanish, Vietnamese, and we also have added Korean, but we have many other, probably 50 other languages. Also, for barriers, we have accessible machines in case somebody has vision impairment. They can use that. And also, again, in all the different languages, we also, an individual can get assistance if they just fill out an assistance form. So many different ways to get help.
But haven't you also implemented where you have curbside?
Yes, we do. You've probably seen quite a few here at Government Center. We've had, I think, close to 300 curbside voters.
That's right.
Yes.
And I think, from where I look, having an 88-year-old mother, she says to me that was probably one of the best things she can see, because you are allowing everybody to have access to doing what we call democracy.
Yes.
Everybody has that access, and that's a testament to you and your team. So I thank you for that.
And I hear you about your mother, because my mother's 85, and the voting started last Friday. She lives in Fredericksburg, and she wanted to know last Wednesday, where's my ballot? I said, Mom, I'll check on that.
Did you?
Yes.
Did
She got it Friday.
You sure?
Yes.
I'm calling her.
Okay.
Where can voters find updated information regarding voting in Fairfax County as we get closer to Election Day?
Oh, that's easy. The Office of Elections website, just Google that, and so much good information in our website.
So if you can just change one thing, every election cycle, because you make changes. We're going to go to the next presidential election in 2028 already,
right,
or 2027. What would you change for that election in your processes?
Yeah, more of what we've changed for this time, just more improvements, anything to make it safe. And of course, getting through that COVID, we wanted to make it easy to vote and accurate, but safety is so important. So we just continue more of the same, working closely, and this is something really important to me, that it is a team, not just my team, who have worked tremendously hard. So anything I can do to support them, and also to work closely with you and the rest of the county leadership, the Board of Supervisors, to make it a better process for voters. I wish we'd get the same number of voters every election, but every single, every vote is precious. One vote can make a huge difference.
Before we go, any last-minute tips for voters of Fairfax County?
Well, what I alluded to a moment ago, just don't, you're going to hear all kinds of crazy stuff out there. If you're not sure, and some of it, maybe people intentionally try to mislead. If you're not sure, give us a call, or check us on the website, or email us. We're getting hundreds of calls, thousands of calls every day. We get hundreds of people come into the office. We're here to help you.
Well, Eric, I just want to appreciate you. Any last-minute questions you have that for me or for the residents of Fairfax County?
I want to say thank you to you, because you've been supportive. I remember when I started with the county 7 years ago, you were at the new employee orientation. I appreciate the time you took then, appreciate this now. And for voters, appreciate that voters, whether they waited five hours 4 years ago to vote,
Yeah.
or what they do today, we know people have tough lives, trying to pay for the groceries and everything else in your life. So thank you for taking the time to come out and vote.
Now, I got to say this to you. I remember that employee orientation because I think I was one before you.
I think that's right.
So what we do here is we're a partner. We're in partnership. We might not always agree with each other, but one thing we do agree with is getting the job done. And I want to thank you because we had a lot of issues in elections prior to you coming here, and you've stabilized the force.
Thank you.
And you've made this a better place and a better process. So I want to say thank you to you. I always vote here.
I was going to ask you that.
You did.
Yes.
You were.
Yes.
Well, okay, go ahead and ask me then.
Where do you plan on voting?
I always vote at the government center.
Yes.
I've always voted at the government center. I did, when I lived in Fair Lakes, I did vote at the animal shelter.
Yeah.
That process was smooth, but with my schedule, it's just so much easier and more convenient. I come to work here, just pop downstairs, people give me what I need, I go in, I vote. They give me a little, they always ask, we're gonna get a raise or something, but I'm like, I handle that. But, thank God for our Board of Supervisors who are allowing us to do this the right way, all right? People think it's just you and I and the team. Our board sets the direction, and they have provided us moving forward and making Fairfax County the penultimate county when it comes to voter registration and election. And
The equity
Yeah.
is so fantastic that we have 16 locations, any registered voter can vote at any one of those locations. What if they don't have a car? What if,
Yeah.
and we have the mail ballots, it's fantastic.
Well, it's all about strategic planning in one Fairfax, and we thank you, sir. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Connect with County Leaders podcast. My special thanks to Eric Spicer. Thank you, sir. And thanks to you for being here. I look forward to talking with you again next month on Connect with County Leaders. Have a great November and October. Please vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you.
That was good.